There I am. Hey legends, this is I Am Manifestation. I'm your conscious manifestation coach, Cerise, and I help you get out of your own way so you can manifest your version of an awesome fucking life. Anything that you need to know regarding coaching, video call coaching, email coaching, podcast. This is my YouTube, freebies, subliminals, the manifestation shop, all that shit is down there, including the waitlist for the solid self concept workshop slash workbook. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. Waitlist down there. Because as we all know, or if you don't, self concept is really fucking important. Let me know in the in the comments if you want to know more about self concept. Today, I'm going to go through a success story with you guys that was shared by one of my awesome clients and someone who's followed me for a long time as well. Yeah, basically, she'd been on all my lives that I was doing on TikTok several times a week for a long time, telling me about all these amazing things that she was accomplishing by consciously manifesting them. There's still one other thing that she's in the process of doing, but I have no doubt that she's going to absolutely smash it and get that thing, and that I'll be sharing that success story down the track. But today I'm going to share her success story about getting her dream job, um, and moving to New York for that dream job from Australia. Um, let's get into it. Okay. Moving abroad to New York from Australia has been a dream, or what feels like my life purpose, for as long as I can remember. But I have always struggled with feeling like I am good enough or worthy of such a dream. I've always been trying to work towards this goal, but at the same time, too scared. Finally, I worked up the courage, quit my job, saved up some money, and went over in March 2020 to find a job. But of course, a global pandemic was days away. And within 10 days, I was back to Australia on the last flight out of New York. I was devastated, but also in some ways relieved because I was so terrified no one would hire me and I would fail at this dream. So, as we know, or as I talk about a lot of my socials and probably need to do some longer form content here on YouTube about, humans are always either running towards pleasure or away from pain. So, and running away from pain is a fear. So, if you're acting from fear, things are not going to go the way you want them to, and oftentimes will backfire if you're taking what you think is inspired action, but you're taking it from a place of, if I don't do it, it won't happen. It will often backfire. So, having a global pandemic take these dreams away from me was almost a way for me to control the narrative, and I didn't have to take accountability for why I wasn't able to fulfill my dreams. Cut to the end of 2022 when I found the law of assumption, Cerise, and manifestation. I worked on my limiting beliefs and soaked in all the readily available content from Cerise and began to work on these old beliefs I have about myself, not being good enough, being scared of success, all my crazy money beliefs. So that's another thing as well. A lot of people are actually scared of what their life is going to be like if they get the thing they want, because that's unfamiliar, and unfamiliar things feel scary. So you need to push past that resistance. But what I do want to say is a lot of what this client would share with me in my DMs and things like that on Instagram was that she was working a lot on self concept. And I remember her saying one time, like, as things were progressing really well with interviews and things like that in New York, she was constantly saying things like, I've never had so much self confidence and all that sort of thing. And if she hadn't had that confidence, she would not have applied for those jobs, like her dream jobs, because she would have thought, well, what's the point of me applying for them? They're out of my reach. I'm not good enough, as she's said here. I became clear about what I wanted, moving to New York, a new job in New York, in a slightly different area of my industry that I didn't have a lot of experience in, a higher salary. End of 2022, I went back to New York and began my job search. Everyone thought I was crazy as all the tech companies in the US began mass layoffs. Everyone told me this was stupid as we're in a recession, but I just ignored all those voices and went ahead and reached out to every company, job, and person that could help me get a job. I was rejected from so many amazing opportunities. It would get me down, but I remembered to persevere, keep going, persist, because no matter what the 3D was showing me, I knew I would end up at the right place and living in New York. I even received 3 different job offers, and old me would have accepted them out of desperation. But I knew they weren't exactly what I wanted, and they definitely weren't the salary I wanted. So I said no to them. And then, of course, in a way I wasn't even expecting, I got the job offer I wanted with a higher title than I had previously had for the highest salary I wanted, despite, in capitals, not having any experience for this partial role. I think she meant particular role, perhaps a typo, and being in the midst of a recession in quotation marks. If I had accepted one of those other previous offers, I would have been underpaid, undervalued, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Also, she would have been unavailable for the role that she actually wanted. Um, sorry, despite what the 3D showed me, I kept going because I finally knew what I was worthy of and what I deserved, and I didn't stop until I got exactly that. And despite this recession in quotation marks, I earn the most money I ever have. Oh no, I pressed something. With the best work benefits I have ever received. 2 exclamation marks. So thank you to Cerise for showing me all the possibilities with manifestation. You're so welcome. You absolute legend. And my biggest piece of advice is know you are worthy, self-concept. Do not pay attention to anything the 3D throws at you. Persist, have blind faith, and know it is done. I mean, I just wanted to go back because I wanted to interject again, but then I was like losing my place. Or maybe it was just something that popped into my head when I was talking to this person in my DMs on Instagram. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to share confidential details. But what I can say without giving too much away is that this particular client was applying for big, well known, like internationally known companies, and she has got a job at one of them. Okay. And that's huge. She wanted this particular place. I think there was 2 that she had in mind that were like dream job status, and she got one of them. And I remember her saying, like, I've had a few offers, but they're not the job that I want. And because I've worked on self concept, not verbatim, obviously, but to give you an idea of what she was saying, because she's worked on her self concept, she was like, no, why would I go for those jobs when this is what I want? And so she just turned them down until she got an offer from the one she wanted. And before she got the one she wanted from the specific company she wanted with the higher salary and the title and all that sort of thing that she'd never had before and all the benefits, the other place that was one of her like dream places to work had said like, no, but we want to hold on to your portfolio or CV or whatever because we like the look of it. We've loved this interaction interview sort of thing. And we're sure there'll be something for you down the track. So she could have taken that as like, I'll just give up and they'll get in touch with me and then I'll just do something lower or below what I want for the time being and hope that they contact me. But she didn't. She was like, no, just because they don't like have the space for me right now doesn't mean like any of the places that I would love to work don't have those spaces. Not only that, but I've heard so many stories about people who like just kept sending their thing, like their CV in to the one place they wanted because there's only one place that they had in mind. And something happened where that position became available before they were expecting, or people who have done like nothing but the initial interview or application and something's fallen through. I've given my own example of, I think on TikTok, maybe not on Instagram, where I shared a story about how back before I even understood how conscious manifestation works, but of course we're always manifesting. So I know that's what happened. I went for a maternity leave cover role while my manager went on mat leave. And I knew that I was the best person for that job. And I fucking was. No, nothing against the girl who got it over me initially. Let me explain. She, lovely girl, we both did similar things. I think she was a few years older than me. She was very good at like happily talking about her accomplishments, and I wasn't. I was just kind of the person who thought I'll just put my head down and just do it and let the work speak for itself. um and there was probably some other things where I like maybe didn't. I think that at the time in my mind, I was like, I know I'm the best person for the job. So they just need to see that whilst I may not be the oldest, or all these other things, limiting beliefs that they might be looking for over the fact that I'm better at the job. Um, I let those things get in the way initially. She got the job. But even though I didn't consciously manifest getting it, my language after not getting it in the first instance never changed from I'm the best person for the job. I'm the only person who makes sense for the job. Like every time I spoke to my mom about it, I'd be like, yeah, I didn't get it, but like I am the only person for that, like that makes sense for it, and like, and then I'd say that to my mom. And then sure enough, other people in the office would, like, everyone as you pushed out. So everyone in the office would start communicating that to me. That should have been your job. You're the only person who makes sense for the job, blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, I know. So this happened for a couple of months. And then the person who got the role over me announced that she was a few months into her own pregnancy. She didn't end up being able to finish the maternity leave cover role. I was asked to take over for the last few months. And then my manager, because I was thinking I'll do this and I'll either have something to put on my CV, or if my manager decides to come back part time, I might be able to like go up a step, but maybe not take her position, but still have a promotion. Either way, I was like, I'll be on to bigger and better things. And so my manager is a lifer. She had been at the company at that time for like 10 years as it was, and she's still there, I believe, a few years later, and I don't think she'll go anywhere. She's a level up from where she was at that time, managing. And in my mind, I was like, I know she's saying that she's definitely going to come back full time. She's definitely going to come back full time, sort of thing. Um, I know a lot of people who have said things like that and have ended up coming back part time because financially that's worked out better with the way the government works here and things like that. Um, or how much kindergartens cost, or like whatever the reasons are, or maybe their partner gets a promotion that allows them to spend more time at home with the kid and all that sort of thing. So I was open to other possibilities, even though she was adamant that she was coming back full time. And anyone who knows her would have like believed that, but I was still open because you never know. And you're only closing off those possibilities if you go, oh yeah, well, she's a lifer and she's addicted to working and loves her work and is a control freak and she wants to be there full time no matter what, sort of thing. I think it was the week before she was due to come back. Right up till that point, she was like, I'm coming back full time. And then the week before she was due to come back, she was like, it doesn't make sense financially with kindergarten and all that sort of thing to come back full time. So I'm going to come back part time. So I ended up being able to stay in that role full time. So I still got the role, even though I initially didn't get the role. And she had been promoted initially, like before she went away on mat leave anyways, but she was mainly just overseeing our office. So she'd gone from like our office manager to regional manager. But she really just checked in with them every now and then. It was not like a major thing at the time because of the numbers in the offices. And then while she was away for maternity leave, our office alone, almost doubled in size, which was so fun for me. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, you just need to have that blind faith and trust in your power initially, especially if you're new to this whole thing and it sounds a bit like woo woo. You need to do a mini manifestation list. You need to manifest in all areas to build your faith. Well, you don't need to, but that is going to be the most efficient way to build that belief. When you start seeing little things happening and you start going, I totally said that. I totally wrote that down. I totally envisaged that for myself. when you start doing that, and when you're manifesting in all areas and not just the one area that you are specifically wanting something that you consider to be big from, when you're seeing it happen in all your things happening in all the other areas of your life, and in the moments where you start to lose faith about the thing that you want, about whether it's happening, start thinking about the time and the how and all those things that are not your job. Your job is just to think in line with it already being yours until you actually see it being so in your physical world. When you're seeing all the other things happening in those moments where you start to like waver a little bit, you can go, I have proof that I'm manifesting, so I just need to persist. Yeah, because some people can, a lot of people who love the law of attraction concept of manifestation, which is, it's all the same thing. It's just different types of manuals for it, for different types of minds, because we all learn and process things differently. I'm more analytical, and I find a lot of the people who tend to follow me and find me and are my clients and things like that are quite analytical people or overthinkers. People who are a little bit more in like the spiritual side of things, which I used to be, but I never really got it because I was like, but how? But why? But the people who come from a more spiritual side who aren't as analytical might find it a little easier to buy into the idea of it. Like, oh, there's all these things that we can't explain yet. So yeah, it's totally conceivable for me that manifestation is a thing and all I need to do is believe, and therefore I can believe it. I kind of understand the neuroscience side of conscious manifestation. And I do have a podcast episode, which I think I've mentioned in other videos, that's linked in the description, about the science of manifestation, because there's no science that, like, no experiment that's been done to prove like conscious manifestation itself. But there's a lot of science that backs up the not only possibility that conscious manifestation is a thing, but the probability that it's a thing. We know that our mind, our reticular activating system in the brain, seeks out more of what we're thinking about. It was there to help us survive. So it was more easy for us to notice threats. And that's why it's a bit easier for our mind to go to the negative initially, but you can train it to do that less, but not completely get rid of it, which is fine because you still need it to some degree. It's why we're here today. And we know, those sorts of things, but a lot of people from like more strictly scientific sort of communities are not in line with like the quantum physics aspect of it. And so I don't claim that, but I think that also science doesn't know everything yet. Science didn't know, like people used to think meditation was woo-woo. And then they did scientific experiments on it, and it proved that there was a multitude of benefits for us as human beings. It calms the body. It helps, reduce anxiety and stress and all those things. And, it's no longer considered a woo-woo thing. And a lot of people who don't consider themselves spiritual or woo-woo meditate. So I think that it's one of those things, like, I don't know if science will ever 100% be able to explain it. I don't think that we understand enough a lot of the things that I've heard that people kind of talk about as fact in terms of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, etc., are actually just theories from what I've investigated myself when I've looked into it. I don't need it to be a hard yes. There's enough there for me to go, so it is possible that, if everything's energy, then we're influencing energy somehow. And I've seen too much anecdotally with myself, my own experience, my clients' experience, and my followers' experience when they give me feedback, that there's more to it than just us seeing more of what we think about. There's too many things that like come in the most random ways, or so we think, because we live in a world that is seemingly logical, but manifestation is not logical. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there because I've gone off on a huge tangent. I may do a video on the science of manifestation for those who aren't too big on podcasts, but definitely go check that out. I think I could probably update it with a few more things that I've come across where I'm like, one of which is that emotions, particularly stress, is the one that I came across, but I did a TikTok on it. I stitched a TikTok about it Um, stress is contagious. You literally like ooze hormones that other people pick up on, and they pick up, and then they start to feel stressed, which is why when you're like around people who are not a good vibe and you start to realize you're becoming more negative, like it could, if that happens for stress, I feel like it probably happens with a lot of different types of emotions. And my stitch was basically like, if that's not everyone as you pushed out, but make it science, I don't know what is. So, or just one of the ways that could explain everyone as you pushed out. So, yeah, let me know if there's like any particular thing about conscious manifestation that you find confusing or convoluted or overcomplicated that I can simplify for you. Help me out, help me help you. Let me know in the comments and I will put that on my list of video ideas. So yeah, that's where I'm going to wrap things up. You're a fucking legend. Don't you ever forget it. And until next time, have a good one.